RinTheMoment, and this is your sexual energy, right? This glass, think of this glass as your sexual tank, right? Think of the water that I'm moving around as your sexual energy, right? And gravity is creating the shake. This motion is creating the shake. Sometimes you have outside forces outside of yourself, right? That are creating the flow, the shake in your sexual energy, right? Things that are outside of yourself, things such as you lusting for the opposite sex, or watching, stuff on the internet that you have no business watching in the first place, right? Or like you have like doping habits where you're just eating a bunch of ice cream. You're like binging on a bunch of ice cream every single night, right? Or you're checking out that hot girl or person, whoever, in public, right? That's going to create some turbulence inside of your sexual tank, which this whole glass cup, think of it, right, as your sexual tank, right? Now that these outside kind of behaviors is going to create turbulence inside, right? Like I'm using my hands to create the turbulence from outside of this glass container, outside of this glass cup, right? Like it's the same thing as you creating turbulence by watching, porn, or like lusting for women or the opposite sex or whoever you're attracted to, or even just eating a bunch of ice cream, like binging on ice cream, Ben and Jerry's every single night before bed, and then you watch anime, right? You're creating turbulence. These are all kind of outside behaviors outside of yourself that's going to kind of shake up and create turbulence inside with your sexual energy, right? Like this whole glass, like I said, is your sexual tank, right? But you're just creating turbulence, you're creating motion, right? And you're creating a way, where the water or the sexual energy is trying to, shake itself out, channel itself outside of your tank and outside of you through your vessel, right? Like that, right? So, think of, this whole thing is your sexual tank, right? This whole glass jar, right? Think of, but it doesn't stay at one level, right? You see how right here, it's saying 1.5, right? Like we're not, the energy, the sexual energy doesn't stay at one level, right? It continues to expand with time, and it's always going to expand with time. It's going to always progressively grow, right? And expand like this, right? All throughout your existence, all throughout your net of existence, and as long as you are alive and you're doing things, and you're conscious in this body, and you're playing out, you're working your job, you're serving other people, you're just alive, you're conscious, you're above the ground, right? You're playing out in your vessel, the energy has no choice but to just keep expanding and to keep accelerating and to keep kind of growing, right? Non-stop. Like the sexual energy is just gonna, just by nature, by the way that our bodies are designed by nature, and the way that our bodies are constructed, right? Just by playing our default nature, the sexual energy that we have, whether you're a man, you're a woman, you're a dog, you're a beetle, you're a butterfly, the energy is just gonna always keep, elevating throughout your, your sexual tank, right? And your sexual tank is, in the center, right, of your being, right? And this is the container that contains all your sexual energy, right? It contains, this, for example, it's the water, right? But you're responsible, or you're not responsible with how this sexual energy gets transmuted, or it gets channeled or transferred out of you, right? But inevitably it's going to just keep expanding and keep elevating and keep growing. And if you are unconscious or unaware of this process, it's going to take place no matter what, right? Whether you're aware of it or not. This is kind of our default nature. This is the way that nature, it wired us. It's designed our bodies to play out. So, we can choose to transmute this, this sexual energy and channel it into different ways, or to transmute it in different ways, and to channel it outside of ourselves into different pathways. We could be responsible with where it goes and how it goes and how we decide to use this sexual energy, right? This fluid. So, right, but it's going to just keep going, right? And the problem with us allowing for it to just keep going is that it's going to start overflowing, right? Once it reaches the top, it's going to start spilling. Well, how does it start spilling? It starts spilling through a wet dream, through us, having sex with our partners or whoever. Maybe we decide to hook up with somebody, or hook up with somebody on Tinder or a dating app, right? But once the our tank is full, right, our sexual tank, then the sexual energy spills out, right? Like the water, think of the water like reaching the top, and then it raises higher, and then it spills all the way out, and it creates a mess all over my desk, right? So yeah, it gets spilt, right? Like your cup spills. How does it spill? Like I said, through a wet dream, nocturnal emission, through a conscious release, more of a conscious release, which is, sex with a partner or a friend, or a one-night stand, or a person you meet on Tinder, or you go solo and you just beat off in your bed or wherever, right? And that's how it's channeling the sexual energy overflows. That's how it's channeling its way outside of you, right? Like that, it shoots its way outside of you through an act of sex, where the energy can spill through you, and that's how the energy can spill, right? If you lower your guard, right, you can put a cap on here and tighten it, right? So like when it overflows, it's just gonna stop, right? You could put a cap on here and keep it tight, right? But like, what's the cap? Well, the cap is like, it's a jar, of course, but it's your guard, right? Like, what is your guard? Well, your guard is, your shield. That gives you kind of the force to kind of grip and conceal your sexual tank, and to grip and to preserve yourself, right? So like when the water goes up, then it's stuck, right? But your main focus is if you really want to transcend, this whole process, you want to transcend sex, you want to transcend lust, right? To where the sexual energy keeps expanding, right? But then you're depleting it, right? You found a way to deplete it. So as it's going up, as it's spawning by default nature, it's going down. You're depleting it, right? And it goes up and then it goes down, right? Like, how do you make it go down though? Well, you make it go down by sexual energy transmutation, right? You find a creative process, whether that's content creation or making music or drawing or doing art or some form of content creation or art or poetry or music. Or you can, put it into your workouts or your training or your business, or your house, your family. Take care of your family, take care of your house, take care of your pets, take care of your businesses, your job, right? You transmute the energy, right? You put your focus, you put your awareness, you put your energy force into that project, into that activity, right? While at the same time you're focusing on preserving your sexual energy and you're preserving yourself. You're not going out of your way to look at things on the internet, or when you're in public, you're not looking at people at all. You're not focused on where's the attractive person at, or where is the cuties at. When you're walking out in public, right? You're preserving yourself, you're preserving your sexual energy by not looking at anything, by not thinking about anything. You're not thinking about, fantasies with people that you think are attractive, people that are just made up characters from like a video game or an anime or something. You're not thinking about your past sexual kind of encounters that you had with your ex. You're not like fantasizing about anything, right? Because every little notion from like your physical to your kind of mental to like as a singular thought, it all matters the same. It all has the same impact when it comes to your energy force. So you want to be very, very careful on what you're thinking about and watch what you're thinking about, and check yourself a little bit. Why do I keep going back to thinking about my past sexual encounters with my ex or with this person, right? So these are all ways you can, you focus on, depleting your sexual energy, right? As it's trying to progressively go up, simultaneously you're depleting it, right? So it's like just an up and down kind of battle between repletion by default nature and depletion by your choice, by your conscious decision, right? Via, the transmutation, you're transmuting it into your business, your art, your content creation, your passions, your work, you put it towards whatever, right? And you're preserving yourself. You're not, because every time you have like a sexual thought, like, oh, I'm thinking about my, that experience with my ex, that was amazing, wow, that was like bananas, right? That's going to like shake up and stimulate your sexual tank and your sexual core, right? It's going to stimulate it, like it's going to shake it up, it's going to create turbulence, right? Because you're thinking about it, right? All these sexual fantasies, it starts as a thought, and it goes down, through the spine into your sexual core, right? And then it shakes it up, it creates turbulence. It's where the energy is about to shoot itself outside of you, because you're shaking it up, and the water or the energy is going to shoot out like that, right? Get all over my floor, all over my desk, and right, like every time you have like you get turned on, you get activated via a thought, you see something attractive on the internet, or you think of like a fantasy or something, you think lustful, right? It stimulates your sexual center, or your sexual core, right? And that just got everywhere. Yeah. And then it spills, right? Like, you do it long enough. Right? Like, oh, I'm thinking about, oh, wow, that's crazy. Wow, that moment that I had with that person, right? And it just spills. It just spills, right? Because why? You wake up at 3, you wake up at, whatever time you normally wake up. And then this happens. You have a wet dream. Why? Because I was stimulating my sexual tank, my sexual core, my sexual center with these thoughts, right? With these sexual thoughts, with these, someone could say, lustful thoughts, or you were looking at porn, right? Or you were looking at hentai or something, right? And now, your sexual energy is just spilling out, right? So, just check yourself, like, why do I keep coming back to these that thought of what I did with my partner, like that sexual encounter? Or why am I thinking about sex with this person? Because I'm attracted to this person, right? Like, these are all things you have to sort of check yourself with, each time, and then it's something you're gonna kind of it's like a pattern. It's like pattern recognition. It's just you're gonna find that you're just gonna keep your mind's gonna keep wanting to go back to it, because maybe you're a dopamine addict, or maybe you're a sex addict, right? As well, who knows, right? Everybody's different, but why? Like, your mind might just gravitate towards, the lust and the thinking of sexual ideas and explicit ideas, to kind of start stimulating your sexual center, your sexual core, so that the energy, you're lowering your guard, right? There's no cap, that there's no guard, and it just shoots its way, the sexual energy just shoots its way outside of you. It channels its way outside of you, right? Via, a wet dream, or a nocturnal emission. If you're on retention, that's going to happen. If you're not on retention, then you're just going to go beat off, because now you're too horny to like want to do retention. So now you're just going to want to go beat off in your bed, or wherever. or you're gonna want to go call your friend, or go, go on the dating app or wherever to go get that release. So, you can channel that sexual energy out of you because it's all the way full, right? You've built it all the way up with all of these sexual ideas and all of these sexual thoughts. You've built it all the way up. Now it needs to spill out. Your cup needs to spill. You need to go call your girlfriend, or go and do a quick hookup on Tinder, or a one night stand, or whatever, or go beat off, right? Or if you're on retention or no fap, you're like, oh, I'm not gonna do any of those things. But your tank's already so full, right? It's like full to the brim, that if you were to go to bed, you're done. It's a done deal for you, because you're gonna wake up, and that you'll wake up with your tank being spilt, or have been spilt, right, through a wet dream. So I think that was everything that I had to say. So stimulating your sexual kind of core is going to create your cup to spill, because it's like, it's always going to keep going up, naturally, right? But if you like jump straight to like thinking lustful, or watching lustful stuff, or pornography, it's gonna just go up. It's gonna speed up faster, right? So you want to get to a place, like I said, where it's going up by default, but you're not speeding up the process by watching pornography, or looking at lustful things, or thinking lustful things, right? You're letting it do its thing. But as it's doing its thing, you consciously, you have practices, you have, practices, and you engage in, spiritual practices, and you have your health practices, and you're doing your transmutation. So you're depleting it as it's going up, right? So it's just going to keep going up and down and up and down, and it's going up. Oh, I'm gonna go transmute that into my business. All right, go down. Oh, it's going up. Okay, I'm not gonna think anything lustful. I'm gonna transmute this into my content creation, or my other business. Okay, it's going down. Oh, it's going up. I'm going to, wait, don't go up. I'm going to put this into working out. Okay, now I got a 6-pack. Oh, it's going up. It's again, I'm going to put this into my art project. Okay, right? That's the goal. That is how you complete semen retention, right? That is how you master semen retention. And that's how I've mastered semen retention after all these years, to where you don't have wet dreams anymore. You don't relapse. You don't think about anything sexual. You're 100% like self-preserved when it comes to your sexual energy, when it comes to yourself and all of your thoughts and all of your kind of activities and the things you do, and your motives, is that you are, you have this self-mastery now. You have this level of self-mastery that makes you feel more connected and interconnected with yourself. So, and if you can focus on this area of your life, you can apply it to many other aspects and areas of your life when it comes to self-mastery and, controlling yourself and sort of building yourself. And, one thing can lead to another, like a domino effect. So it just takes time, many people will not be able to experience this in their lifetime. There'll be many people who do get to experience this in their lifetime. You know, it takes it takes patience, it takes dedication, it takes like focus if you really want to master, you know, semen retention. So I think I am going to change my pants because my cup spilled. And if your cup spills, don't give up on yourself. Like I've said, if you show up every day and you put in the effort and you're dedicated, then you have no choice but to succeed and to thrive and to really master retention. So thank you for watching the video, and I'm going to change my pants now because my cup spilled.